Well, I have just about managed to calm myself down. So welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else joining me today. This is the Sheffield United way match reaction to United's absolutely mental fourth round tie in the FA Cup away at Wrexham. Now, as you will see, I am Beastly Ollie. Nick is stuck in Wrexham. Hal is stuck in a pub in Cyprus, and therefore you are all unfortunately stuck with me. But hopefully we'll be able to get through this one together. So in general, I just want to say, first of all, that was an incredible FA Cup tie. It was mental. It went from being a very great start for United to us being absolutely terrible for most of it, to a last-minute equaliser. Just an insane game of football. I imagine that every channel will be trying to get the replay on the telly, because if it could be anything like that, they would be buzzing for it, because the game was just crazy. Now, from our perspective, obviously a 3-3 draw that we got today. United went ahead early. They then went behind early in the second half. They equalised. Jebison was sent off. Wrexham went ahead again, and United got a last-minute equaliser. But we will go through the details after a little bit of a generic rant from me about United's performance today. Because I want to say, first of all, that Wrexham were fantastic. I thought they were a brilliant team. We all know their story. We all know that they are a lot better than being called a National League team. They're a much higher quality side than that. But United were really, really poor. I thought there were certain players who I thought really stood out as not really being good enough. I think Adam Davis had another poor game in goal, particularly the first goal we conceded. It all came from a real panicked moment from him. So I'd be expecting much better. I love Chris Basham. I think he's my favourite ever Sheffield United player, but he himself had a shocker. Paul Mullin just completely destroyed him, I thought, today. Thought Mullin was the outstanding player on the pitch, and he really, really is unlucky to have not won that game for Wrexham. I thought our midfield were anonymous. I thought they couldn't get on the ball. I thought we resorted to playing a long ball game and getting drawn into playing the way that Wrexham wanted us to play. And that just very much played into their hands and made them the better side. And I think, to be honest, we're lucky to be coming away with a draw, because they were the much better side today. And we've done well to just stay in it. But generally speaking, I've picked out certain players there. But overall, everybody else was just a generic standard of rubbish. So I certainly think we need to see some improvements. But let me go through the game stage by stage. If we start off with a pre-game, the first thing was the team news. We had made 5 changes, which I think we expected. We saw Davies come in. It was very nice to see Njai get a rest, albeit that we did need him in the end. So a little bit shocked Anel started, but overall, I think I was fairly happy with the team. The big news, though, coming out was about Sander Berge. Not only was he not in the starting 11, he wasn't at all in the squad. We actually had a spare spot on our bench that went unused, which I think sends a very clear message that it's likely he may be on his way. If they've met our valuation, if as rumoured, it's going to be something like £20 million, I think that is an offer that we would look to accept. I think it's been the asking price for about 18 months. So if somebody's paying it, then I suppose there's not much we can do about that. But that was the shock in the team news. After that, though, the game gets ahead, and first minute, United score. Corner from Doyle. McBurney, I don't know how he gets free of his man. They just leave him to run in on his own. And it's a great header at the near post, fired in. And at that point, it was really what United needed. I thought it'll take the sting out of the game. It'll maybe affect their crowd. They'll be less up for it. And it'll give us the opportunity to just settle into a performance. But then it was immediately followed by injuries. And I felt a bit for Wrexham, because at this point, you thought the game was going to get away from them. You thought, United are ahead straight away. One of their centre-halves is going off injured immediately after the goal. You play another minute, and then their other centre-half, one of their most key players, I think it was, in Aaron Hayden, had to go off after about 10 minutes. So you just thought, actually, this might not just be bad for them today, but it could be affecting their entire season. So I was feeling a bit for them then, and I very much don't feel for them anymore, because they battered us even without them. So there's no more sympathy from that point onwards. And to be honest, they managed to get on my nerves in that first half. I thought once we finally got some football played, there were so many opportunities where they just screamed for a penalty in that first half. There was one in particular, ball forward, Mullin knocks it past Davis. Davis don't touch him, and he dives. They screamed for that penalty for a long time. And then it happened again. Another penalty shout. And I understand why you would. If I was them, I'd have appealed for the penalty, but it did get a little bit annoying watching it on screen and just seeing people constantly going and going and going for things that were never penalties. I thought in that first half, Wrexham were good. I thought they very much matched us, but I thought United had the better chances. You know, there was one where Jebison had got free and Howard made a good save. There was one where Doyle hit one from range and Howard again made a decent save. The saves you'd expect him to make, but they're still fairly decent saves. Until extra time, when Wrexham did have two very good chances. The United corner was cleared. Mullin gets in behind Bogle. I think it was a quick kick out from Howard. Bogle controls it. And then Mullin controls it, knocks it round Bogle, and is in one-on-one with Davis, who makes a save. And he did something that would then become relevant later on in the game. They smash it at Davis. He parries it into the centre of the box, and we just about scramble it away. You know, they're appealing for a penalty because it was potentially something going on in there. But very much there was a knock into the box, which Davies then did later on, which resulted in a goal. So that first half, we didn't look comfortable, but I thought we were the better team. But then the second half, we made a change at half-time. We had Max Lowe come on for James McAtee. Osborne moved up into midfield, but it just didn't give us anything at all. They completely got on top of us at the start of that second half. And I think it was just 5 minutes in, they scored. And again, this is why I came back to it. They had one where they've got free in the box. They've hit it at Davis, and he's just parried it, not away from goal, not out to the side, not out for a corner, back into the centre of your own penalty box. That's just goalkeeping 101. You don't put the ball in the middle of your penalty box. Now, at this stage, there was a scramble. We got it away. We put it out for a throw-in, but we were under pressure. We were panicking, and you could see the panic in the game, which then immediately comes to their long throw from the side and the equaliser. We got it all wrong. It bounced off. I think it's McBurney Egan. Their lad just hooks it in from just in front of Davis. It was a really poor start. And you thought, right, they've equalised. Let's sort this out. Let's see what we can do. Made a couple of subs. McBurney went off for Sharp. Osborne went off for Njai. And that felt as though it was going to send a message that United were coming for the game. And then we conceded almost immediately. Another really, really soft one. A corner into the box that nobody tries to head away. Billy Sharp chests it down and lets their lad just smash it in completely unmarked. It was another bad goal to concede. You know, where's the organisation? Where's that defensive structure that we've got? Is taking McBurney off really what's just going to cause us to not have any defensive organisation on a corner? So completely unsure what was going on there. Just some really bad play from United. And suddenly we're 2-1 down and they are bouncing. But we did show fight. So immediately come back into this game. You know, we get a foot on the ball for the first time in sort of 20 minutes in the second half. We get Sharp free down the right. A blocked cross spoons up that they can't head away. And after 2-3 attempts, it finally bounces for Norwood to just pass into the corner with a really lovely finish. And it's 2-2. But then at that point, we come to the controversy, and I can see the comments coming in about it. We can see Hal immediately comes in to say, what do we think about the red card? Well, what I think about the red card is that it's ridiculous. I've got no idea what has happened. You know, they kept trying to show replays on the sort of BBC, but they didn't show us anything. All they've shown us is the aftermath of Tozer running into Jebison. Even on the first clip that they showed us, it was very much their lad seems to have grabbed hold of Jebison, got hold of him. Jebison's eventually got him off him. And that's what the fourth official is trying to draw the referee's attention to. Now, I'm not going to say I've had a good angle of it. I haven't. Maybe there's more to it than I've seen. But all I can see, to be honest, is a fourth official desperate to get his face on Disney Plus because he wants his part in the documentary. He wants to starring role in the episode about this game. And that really did make a difference. I can see here that Jack is saying the BBC have tweeted a clip of the incident. So maybe that clears it up. Maybe that makes a difference. But from what I've seen so far, and because I'm a United fan, I'm just going to slag off the fourth official and make him out to be a fame-hungry person. Sort of like the kind of person who might sit here talking about football on YouTube. But we'll quickly move past that. So I admittedly was a bit angry at this point, but there wasn't much going on between this and then a really, really good chance for Wrexham. There was a cross into the box. Now, of all the penalty appeals that they made, and there were a lot of them, this was the one that, on reflection, could have been. You know, it's a cross that comes in. It hits Enel's hand. Now, his hand is down by his side, but you do see them given from time to time. Everybody stops apart from Ollie Palmer, who plays on fantastically and has a fantastic effort, smashes it against the crossbar. That was a great effort from them, but just more pathetic defending from United, where we're just switched off. You know, Anel had a really poor game today. This isn't his fault, though. You know, this is Egan switching off in the middle, just completely being distracted by this penalty shout, not following his man, not trying to stop the shot. And we could easy as anything have been behind then. Instead, we waited another 5 minutes and we were behind then instead. This time it's poor play in the middle. Mullin, it's 3-on-3. So they've got 3 attackers. We've got 3 defenders. Mullin's got the ball and he plays it in behind Basham. Now, Basham doesn't have the pace he used to have. He's not had a good game. He's not had a particularly good season. But at this point, it's under control until Egan watches Mullin run into the box. And instead of tracking his run, running with him, steps to the side and leaves Mullin completely unmarked in the middle of the box. That's a ridiculous decision to make. And it makes it such an easy decision for him to play it across for Mullin, Mullin to take a touch with loads of time and put it in the corner. And at 3-2, everybody thinks we've lost this game. You know, the announcers on BBC are saying, oh, haven't Wrexham done well to win this game? Paul Mullin scored the winner. And they were really, really looking good for that win as well. I think we'd all have said they deserved it because it was a poor performance for United. And that defending for that third goal really summed up where we were at today. And it could have been worse. 90th minute, ball forward. And again, Basham just has a shocker. I love him. I really don't want to slag him off and it hurts because I love him. But they should have won the game here. He's had a shocker of a game. They're like manages to just about get the ball off him, get past him. And he should have had a fourth. Fortunately, they completely lost their composure. And apologies, I don't know the Wrexham player's name, who it was. Just completely lost his composure, smashed it over the bar, and we got away with one. And then, my word, did we get away with one. We win a corner because we've got to put pressure on. Last minute of a cup tie. It's a deep corner from Tommy Doyle. I don't know why this ball's allowed to bounce in the centre of their 6-yard box. Don't know if a defender needs to stick his name on it. Don't know if the keeper needs to stick his name on it. But I don't really care because it bounces through. John Egan gets his shin on it, fires it in, forces it over the line and forces a replay. Breathe. So much happened in that game. It was mental. It was a proper cup tie. And quite frankly, I feel as though we are lucky to have got away with a draw there, to come out of it 3-3, because there was every chance we could have been a big scalp and had the big shock of the round by losing this game. That was a big one. So overall thoughts. 1, fourth official. I've not seen it properly, so it's hard to slag him off, but looks to me like he's gone and had an absolute shocker to influence the game. The performance from United, really poor. Midfield, anonymous, just not a part of it. Defence, really poor again, just not control of their man. Let Paul Mullin absolutely dominate them. And Adam Davis, not really good enough to be the Sheffield United goalkeeper. From Wrexham's perspective, I will say they were absolutely fantastic. Thought they really put on a performance. I thought they were strong, thought they were fast. I thought when Mullin got the ball, he was by far the best player on the pitch. And I just think that the way that their crowd created an atmosphere and their players really played up to that atmosphere was just utterly outstanding. So I want to give real props to Wrexham, but also United have got to be better, and we will be better in the replay. Now, I don't know the schedule for the replay, but at Bramall Lane, I would fancy United to turn up in a better performance than we did today and win this game. That's what we've got to hope for, and then we'll be in the 5th round. And who knows, when you're in the 5th round, you're not that far away from maybe going to Wembley again. But it's hard to think about that after a performance like that today. So let's come to some of your comments, and let's start off with one just reflecting on a few of the points that I was making earlier. Wrexham did make a lot of appeals for penalties, for free kicks, for fouls, and it is quite funny that there was one of them that almost got forgotten because of the fantastic opportunity that Palmer had immediately afterwards. I can see lots of comments about Sander Berger's future. Now, I did address this at the start, but I will just come to it again. Obviously, the big news today from the game was that Sander Berger is not in United start 11. He was not in Sheffield United's squad. Now, there's a lot of reports that Fulham have made a £20 million bid. Now, I don't know. I'm not in the know, so I'm not sure whether or not that rumoured figure is correct. But if it is, I can understand why the club would be considering it and why we would expect him to be moved on. I think the fact that we left a space on the bench today, it wasn't just that he wasn't in the team. There was a space free on the bench. and he didn't fill it. So that to me says that he's likely to be on his way, and hopefully that means we can resolve the embargo and maybe look to do some recruitment of our own. But it's hard to say what we will do. Interesting comments. I can see that Justin, who has joined as a new member today, thank you very much. Justin has made a comment about Njai's performance when he came off the bench. Myself, I think that Njai showed moments. He had flashes. I think he had a couple of runs where he beat a few men, but never really put the end product together. There was one, I think, just after our equalizer at 2-2, where he beat 3 or 4 players, got to the edge of the box and saw it deflected outside. And I think it should have been a corner, but the ref gave a goal kick. But other than that, he was quiet today. It wasn't his best performance, but I'd like him to save his best performances for the league, because that's the priority. As much as we all want to win, we wanted to win today. The priority is still the league, and I'm sure that Wrexham will agree. I don't think shocking is the right word. I agree with Super Dingus, which is a fantastic username. I wouldn't use the term shocking, but it wasn't his best performance. I did think, generally speaking, though, the entire United team was shocking today. So it's hard to really give anybody extra props, because it was a very, very poor performance all round. This is an interesting one. Lewis O'Brien being linked to replace Sander Berge. That would be exciting. I really like Lewis O'Brien. I think he's an excellent player. And I think that if he could come in, I would be pretty delighted with that. So we'll see how that goes. Interesting point from the Saint about Billy Sharp. I expected him to play today. I thought he would start. And I think obviously with Jebison sending off now, potentially a 3-match ban, although there are suggestions in the comments that United will look to appeal. I think that Sharp will then have a bigger part to play. I think I'd expect to see obviously a lot of McBurney in the league, but bearing in mind this is a cup tie, bearing in mind McBurney's fitness issues, I think Sharp will start in the replay. And who knows, maybe he can make the difference. Covered Aaron Davis to a little extent, Jack, but I thought he was awful, and I don't think I can say it enough, so I'll say it a couple more times. I think it's what it is. It's a fundamental error that he's got in terms of his technique. There were 2 times in the game, potentially 3 or 4 times, but there's 2 that I remember really distinctly of shots straight at him that instead of parrying away, he parried into the middle. That is just creating difficulty for your defenders. It's putting you under pressure because you're running back towards your own goal and you've got to try and clear. What he needs to do is push out for a corner or out to the sides. Now, I'm no goalkeeper. Let's not pretend that I am. I'm not a particularly good footballer, but I know that that's what, generally speaking, you will see trained, you will see keepers doing, and that's something that Davies will need to work on. And breathe. So it's been a long afternoon. It's been a crazy, crazy game of football. We're in the hat for the next round. God knows how we ended up in the hat, because quite frankly, I thought the game was gone and I'd written us off. So maybe we should be grateful for that. But my word, I'm tired. And I think the last word is quite rightly going to come from somebody like Chris to say that Wrexham were good today, because ultimately, yes, they were. They put on an excellent performance. They are, for all their money and all the fame and everything else, a National League team that have taken on a team who are, for want of a better phrase, Premier League in waiting. So they deserve that credit and they deserve to enjoy tonight because they were good. But we do need to be better than that. We will be better than that. And let's just hope that in that draw tomorrow, we don't have to play Wednesday at any point, because that's the one thing I don't want, because that can take the shine off a season. Thank you for joining me, Blades. Crazy game of football. But we're still in the hat. It's the FA Cup. Let's just try and enjoy it, because we've got them now at Bramall Lane. And let's hope that's a better game and one that we can win. We will see you soon. Thank you for joining me. Good night, everyone.